So if you ask yourself, why do some practice owners seem to thrive with online marketing while others struggle with poor results? I mean, we've all seen it. Guys are out there with their practices just raking it in with online marketing, getting new patients left, right, and center, building their practice up to well over 7 figures and opening additional offices and just having a good old time. But there's a whole other group that are just wondering, are those guys lucky? I mean, how are they doing this? I hire a marketing company and it sucks, right? So what's the difference? I've done some deep looking into this, and in this video, I'm going to tell you what the difference is. What is it those guys are doing that you could also replicate yourself so that you too can be thriving with a consistent flow of qualified new patients coming in to see you, okay? So my name is John Nesbitt. I'm the founder of the Customer Factory, and I have helped dozens of practice owners grow their dream practices by showing them how to build an online marketing engine that powers their growth and attracts the new patients that they need for the types of cases they most want to see, that's an important part. And I'm going to go through basically how I've done that in this video, and hopefully you can take away some knowledge or some value that you can apply immediately to your own situation now to get along a little better. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're a growth-oriented practice owner, like you're out there marketing and advertising, you know what it's like to do online marketing, right? You've had the problems. Everybody knows what the problems are. If you start the marketing, either yourself or the agency, sometimes it takes quite a while before you start seeing results. Weeks, months sometimes go by. The whole time you're paying for ads and you're just getting deeper in the hole while you're kind of waiting for results that may or may not come, right? Now, even when you do start getting these results in, sometimes it's not enough. You're paying out a certain amount of money. You've got to make much more, a multiple of that back in order for something to actually pay off as a marketing investment, right? You're investing all this and it needs to pay off. Well, sometimes a little small trickle of new patients coming off a big program doesn't pay off. It isn't worth it, right? So that's a problem. Another problem, let's go ahead and talk about that, is poor quality. Some tactics when you're doing marketing can get you all kinds of results, lots of people to show up, but they're the wrong people. They're not the kind of cases you want to see. They're not the people they can't afford care, or they can't obtain it somehow, or they're not motivated for care, right? You can get a whole bunch of people who just aren't motivated for care. They're just sort of tire kickers, just kind of looking around. They're not really ready for your services, and that can be incredibly frustrating to have a parade of those guys coming through, right? And then, of course, the one thing that a lot of people have to wrestle with is that handling marketing-based leads is not the same as handling referrals. When you have a referral come to your office or call into your office, they're being pushed by another person that's coming in. There's already some social proof there, and they show up. When you do marketing-based leads coming in, these new patient inquiries coming in from marketing, they don't really know you. And so the no-show rate can be insanely high. It can be very high. You have like a 95% no-show rate, show-up rate for these new patients. And that's terrible because you think you got a good guy coming in and you booked your space, you held it open for them, and then they don't show, right? And that's incredibly frustrating. And I know what it's like. I've heard the stories and I really understand, right? So look, if you've experienced any of those problems I just mentioned, you're going to hopefully get a lot of value out of this video. I've designed it really to cover those points and to help you see what the difference is, what you could be doing differently that'll get you there, okay? So if you'll stick with me during the video, I promise to pay off on all these points and give you at least something that can be done for each of these, okay? Now, the whole process I'm going to teach you about here is something that works, okay? It's just like there's Dr. Kendra and Troy Pierce in Missouri. They grew their practice to multiple 6 figures per month on the back of what I'm going to show you, this system I'm going to show you. Dr. Heather Lambert over there in the Charleston, South Carolina area, her practice, she was struggling. She went from struggling to her practice doubled, and then doubled again. And then awesomely, it doubled again, right? And she does not worry about new patients particularly because she knows where her next new patient's coming from. It's coming from the system. As a matter of fact, she knows where her next 100 new patients are coming from. It's coming from the system that I'm going to show you, okay? Now, I am not a chiropractor. I'm a CEO. I'm a marketer. I started and built a multi-million-dollar advertising agency when I was in my 30s. My clients were Fortune 500 companies, and they have the highest standards for professionalism and results. I served names like AT&T and Microsoft and Dell in the early 90s, and I actually helped bring some of these companies onto the internet with their first marketing buys. Their first internet marketing purchases was through the agency that I ran. And that was very successful. We did well in that agency, and I ended up cashing out and taking my money and run kind of thing, and going off to do other things. And one of the things I did is I used those skills I had obtained to start and build a multi-million-dollar e-commerce business. I started with zero, and we did multi-millions of dollars. And I went on and sold that as well. So I was doing pretty well. So I know a lot about how to influence people with online marketing and how to connect them with the solutions they need. I also know how to do it at a very high level of service and attention to detail that's required, right? Now, despite my marketing success, let's call it my poor lifestyle choices had caught up with me. And I found myself getting sicker and sicker with more and more health problems. I found out how true that phrase is, that money means nothing if you don't have your health. You know, you've heard that? That's very true. That was very true. So I was pretty distraught. I had gone to see I'd gone several rounds with medical doctors. I mean, I could afford them, you know, no problem. And I got the pronouncement that I would be on an ever-growing number of medications, probably for the rest of my life. I didn't like that idea of taking pills. I mean, you know, forever, right? And the side effects, then you have to take pills to handle the side effects of the pills. And it was just, I didn't want to go there, right? Luckily for me, I was directed to a friend, by a friend who sent me into a chiropractor's office in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had to drive over to see him. Anyway, and they were using the very advanced techniques. I didn't know what it was called back then, but it was a medically integrated practice. And they were doing some great stuff. And their approach to healthcare by that doctor was something I had never seen. It made total sense to me. I mean, the way it put me at the center of my own care and wellness was great. It got me away from the medications and the drugs, and really to where I could be in charge of my own health again, right? And that was awesome. And when it was all done, I'd had my health basically restored, and I was blown away. And of course, I'm thinking, how come everybody doesn't know about this, right? I mean, that's amazing. How come people don't know about this? And it was right then that I developed a new purpose. I said, you know what? I'm going to take what I've learned, these skills I've developed working with the biggest brands in America and doing direct response e-commerce that can make people do stuff. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure the world finds out about the superior approach to healthcare. I'm going to make sure that guys like me, hear about it before they get put on that whole long track to drugs and even surgery and worse, right? I mean, good grief, right? So I'm going to tell people about the world, and basically that means I'm going to tell people about you, right? That's what, if you're watching this video, you're probably the kind of person that I would love to send people in to see, because I'm a true believer. It's happened and helped me out. So anyway, that's how I got into this entire area in the first place. Like it's sort of a side door entrance on this whole thing, right? Now looking at it, I came out, okay, how people don't know about this, okay, I quickly found out that most practice owners were being very poorly served by the marketing companies out there. I mean, there's a lot of amateur companies out there that make big promises that they really just can't keep. I mean, they promise this, but they can't deliver. And actually, on the initial survey I did, every practice owner I spoke to was frustrated or disappointed with their marketing results at some level. And nobody had really figured it out how to make this thing work. And if you've hired some of these other companies, you know what I mean. I mean, it's hit and miss, man. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Who knows? And maybe after 6 months it goes away, right? I mean, that is not the way to build a business. And I'm looking at this going, that is not the way that practitioners such as you are going to actually change or take over healthcare. It's just not going to work if you don't have good marketing, if you can't reach the public. Because I'll tell you, the guys on the other side, they absolutely know how to market, and they absolutely do great. The pharmaceutical companies are masters at marketing. But anyway, I won't get into all that. We all know that. Just take that as read, right? Okay. So anyway, when I looked closer into this at what these marketing companies were doing, I realized they weren't failing on purpose. I mean, they weren't set out to rip you off. They actually honestly want to help you. It seemed like these guys are good guys. But I realized that they just did not have an overall comprehensive, professional, and if you'll pardon the term, like a holistic approach to new patient marketing. They were very focused on lead generation, that they forgot it was all about growing the practice, right? Like the marketing program is not supposed to be something that sort of bolts onto the side of your practice and feeds things in, right? It's supposed to be a partnership that helps you grow your practice to take over the local market that you're in. You want to be the dominant word in healthcare where you are, I assume, right? You want to reach as many people and help as many people as possible. Well, to do that, it's not just some minor little feeder line of some leads coming in. It's got to be something a little more comprehensive, right? Just running some ads on Facebook is not enough to really power a practice all the way to where it needs to go, okay? So the other problem is they were concentrating on a quantity of new patients and not a quality. Like quality dropped out a lot, as I mentioned before. And then they also had a problem with getting people to show up. Like there's just certain things were missing. And I guess you've seen all these things. I don't really have to belabor it, but you get the idea, right? So after looking at all that, I realized, okay, well, look, we got to solve this problem. This has got to get solved. Otherwise, we're going to continuously be out-marketed by the guys who have billions of dollars, right? So that's why I created what I call the market domination engine for chiropractors. All right, this is the market domination engine. It's basically It's there to help growth-oriented practice owners create a consistent flow of qualified new patients without the frustration and disappointment of wasting thousands of dollars on online campaigns that don't work, right? I knew that if I could solve the new patient marketing problem for practice owners, the growth is assured, and they will certainly be able to go on and help more people to have the same kind of successes that I experienced, right? So that's where I'm coming from in this entire thing. That's what the market domination engine is all about, all right? So anyway, the market domination for chiropractors, it's different, and it's not just a bunch of fancy ads or a new word for something else or some trick on Facebook or whatever, some flash in the pan thing. It's a complete system. It's an actual kind of engine that handles the entire situation and makes local doctor the health authority in their area, while simultaneously attracting in the qualified new patients they need for the types of cases that they do best with, right? You want to see what you want to see. You want to see the kind of guys you can get the best result with, because they go out and tell the world, right? Now, at the heart of the program is consistency. It's the only complete marketing engine which is fully documented in written procedures. I've literally written the whole thing up, and as we discovered each thing, I put it down, and it's in writing, and it's literally hundreds of pages of written material that solve every aspect, from writing ads to landing pages to headlines to everything, all the way through to getting a new patient to actually show up, right, in the office and ready for care. So at the end of this, you need a motivated patient to show up in the office ready for care and able to obtain it, right? You got to really know what you're going for here. So this is not another high-priced agency service with unpredictable results. This is a comprehensive and defined system that achieves consistent results, a consistent flow of qualified new patients that you can use to grow your practice. That's what this engine does, okay? So hopefully that's something you're going, okay, John, tell me more. All right, good. And I'm going to tell you more. I'm going to tell you it works. Like there's a Dr. Woodside in Arizona. He has used the market domination engine to grow all 4 of his practices above the $1 million revenue mark. All four. When he came to us, he started with 1, and now he's got 4 $1 million plus practices, right? There's Dr. Minsky in Florida. He went from being worried about paying his bills to having a marvelously profitable practice based on just this system making his phone ring with new patients every day. I mean, that's just how he does it, right? It's a wonderful thing to watch and to be a part of and see someone now able to reach out and help so many more people, right? I mean, can you imagine what it'll be like when you no longer have to worry about where your next new patient's coming from and can focus on adding the services, on growing your practice, or just even having more free time and not being a burnout, right? I mean, how would that change your life? I mean, I know it probably do quite a bit, I imagine, right? I mean, if you didn't have to worry about new patients, that'd be a pretty cool thing. All right, so let me briefly walk you through the market domination engine that I created that solves these problems, okay? There are 4 component steps, and they work together to fill your practice. Lack of any part of the system is very expensive, because as the data shows and my experience proves, even the lack of one of these systems can really foul up the whole deal. Matter of fact, each of these systems probably on their own is worth about 25% annual growth revenue if you're doing them right? And when combined, they have kind of a compounding effect that can ignite annual growth to maybe 100%. I mean, you can do quite well with this. Ask anybody who's been running it for a while, right? But any one of these things missing, you can actually have nothing happening. I mean, you can blow it, right? I'll go into that in just a minute. So the first step of the marketing engine is patient reactivation. And you think, what? Why are you starting at reactivation? Why are you starting there? And I'll tell you why. Because one major problem with most marketing campaigns is they're not immediately profitable. Like, you start paying for the marketing, and then you're told to wait a while to see some results. And in the following weeks or months, you're kind of stuck hoping that it works. I mean, right? So that you've been there waiting for it, right? The solution is to start your marketing with a reactivation campaign. That's a good, quick hit. It's a good, quick bam, right there. These people already know you. You send a text and emails. You send text and emails out to people that gets patients back in for care, and even referring their friends. I mean, all you have to do is communicate to them the value proposition that you have as a practitioner, and let them know you're still there. Do it with an email, and especially text messages work well, and they will start responding. If you send a few out each day over a month's time period, you can actually have quite a nice flow of new patients coming in. Don't do them all at once. You'll kill yourself, right? But if you do them just a few dozen at a time, it works that way. I mean, this is what Dr. Burford in Memphis, Tennessee experienced when he began with his new patient reactivation campaign with us. In just the first 7 days, he had enough new patients reactivated and showing up for care to make his entire month profitable. I mean, how cool would it be that by the 7th of the month, you're already profitable for the month. The rest is just gravy, right? You can do that if you have a good reactivation program. And so with the market domination engine, we do send a carefully set set of communications that go out to your past patient base that get their attention and brings them back in ready to resume or do some additional care. And we know how to keep this thing going on, so it becomes a regular, it's not a one-time stunt. It actually becomes a regular feeder line that you can do recurring times throughout the year to constantly keep that database active, to constantly keep that as a flow in that you can count on, right? A way that actually builds your revenue permanently once you've got that in place. All right. Now, step 2 of the market domination engine is patient quality, right? And to do that, you've got to, okay. We all hear this. Too often you hear the complaint that a marketing company brought in loads of leads, but the quality was so poor that the office could not do anything with them. They were not motivated for care. They were not simply there for the right reason, right? They couldn't pay for it. Something was wrong. And that is so heartbreaking to have people come to you and you just can't help them. I mean, that's just, what do you do, right? It's very frustrating. As a matter of fact, I think it's one of the most damaging things that happen to a practice is have a stream of people come through who want your help and you want to help them, but they're not able to pay for it, or most of the good stuff is not covered by insurance. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, sometimes they don't have insurance, right? And if you're not getting you're doing a reverse filter screen to get these people out, you're going to see too many of them. And for example, this was a problem with a practice owner I know in Ohio. His previous 2 marketing agencies had failed him on this point. He, not only were they sending him poor quality guys, but he actually wanted to do neuropathy patients who were still in a treatable stage, right? They weren't so far along that he couldn't do anything with them. And this supposed marketing agency, expert agency, they attracted in all these desperate cases, the people who just could not be helped, right? Or if they could be helped, they didn't have the money to get the help, right? And it was just a losing, sad game. Over and over, he had to turn away these people, and it was demoralizing for him and his staff, right? We went and deployed the market domination engine for him, and immediately he began seeing the kinds of patients he could help. Best of all, these patients were eager for care, and they're able to obtain it. So he went on to do more than 6 figures per month with just that one neuropathy program in his office. It was quite a permanent revenue boost for him. Now, the market domination engine has a special reverse filter built into it. That's how it does it. Too many companies worry about targeting. They're all about targeting. Target the right people. Target. Okay, good. This targeting is great, but there's also reverse targeting, filtering. You've got to do a filter where you learn over time what you don't want to see, or you learn over time what actions a consumer takes, which indicates they're not really motivated for care, or they're not going to be able to obtain it, or they're just going to be somebody that you can't work with, right? You've got to know what these things are, and you only learn them by a long-term observation of active and running campaigns. It's not the kind of thing you just fiddle around with Facebook settings on. It's a definite algorithm sort of thing that you got to put together. All right. So when you've got these filters in place, you can tighten them or loosen them based on what you're seeing. So when you're running the market domination engine, you can say, okay, I want to see more people, and you the quality's slipping a little bit good, so you tighten up just a little bit. So now you're starting to see and you find the right balance there of quantity and quality, right? There's a perfect line for everybody, and you find that line, you just keep it right there, and you've got your filter in place. And that means you're far more likely to get in the types of cases you want and the people you can get successfully into a care program and actually help them, right? Okay, so the third step in the market domination engine is to get a consistent quantity of new patients coming in. Okay, so now you've got the right guys coming in, but it's not going to be worthwhile if you're not getting enough people in. I mean, you got to fill that schedule, man. You got to fill that room, right? You got to get people in that waiting room ready for care, right? And I've heard it so often that people run a campaign and it goes really great for the first month. Maybe they got a marketing agency that comes in and sells and they go, okay, great, let's do this, right? And the first month, it's awesome. They get like a whole bunch of new people in. And the second month, less awesome. And by the third month, it's dead, right? And you start losing money because now you're paying all of this. You've kind of you've had your honeymoon period and now you're kind of down to, this is what it's going to be like in real life, and it never recovers. Some practice owners just keep on pouring the cash in, trying to revive that dead horse of a campaign. And sometimes they've given back all the win they had of it in the first place. They give it back just chasing it, kind of like a gambler at the table who started losing, right? And that is not the way to build a business. Some campaigns never reach a viable level with such a small trickle of results coming in. Even if they're highly qualified, there's just not enough coming in. And that can be really, really frustrating to be sitting around waiting for results to arrive that never arrive. A doctor friend of mine in California was dealing with the exact thing in his practice. His agency had insisted that he lock into a 6-month contract for services. And for the first like 60 days, it was awesome. And he was seeing new patients. And then month 3, it started to fade. And by month 4, he was spending more money in the ads. He was making back from what little trickle of new patients was coming in. Of course, now, as we know, this is typical. The marketing company was hard to reach. All of a sudden, the sales guy was easy to reach, but suddenly the service guy is hard to reach, right? I hate that. So unprofessional. Anyway, and when he did reach them, by the way, they all they did was to give him excuses. Well, it was the holiday weekend. It was raining. Blah, blah. They give him all kinds of crappy excuses, which, believe me, when you're in the marketing business, you know when you hear them, right? And they finally, this is how you really know, they finally started to imply that it was actually his office that was the problem, not them. It's, something about your brand, your office, your dumb stuff you put on your Facebook page, something like that, right? And they basically made it like his fault, right? And they made him pay the last part of his contract. They wouldn't let him off his contract. And as soon as it was over, they disappeared. They were gone, right? And I guess that's kind of the churn and burn model all these guys have, because they don't know how to get past that problem. When the campaign works at first and then dies. Even the marketing company doesn't know how to fix it. And by the way, in about 2 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to fix it, right? Okay, about 30 seconds from now, I'm going to tell you how you fix it. Okay, so you'll know more than them. All right. But we're getting back to this guy in California. Can you imagine how disappointed he was? How for a while, for a little while there, he thought, man, I got it solved. I'm getting all the new patients I need. Now I can start doing some new services and maybe open that second office and all that stuff, right? And then boom, 90 days later, he's right back in the hole right where he started. No better, no worse, just crap, right? How disappointing, right? Okay, well, obviously, a month later, he started running the market domination engine. And now, more than a year later, he still consistently sees dozens of new patients per month from our program. It is so consistent that he's felt comfortable adding those additional services now, and he's contemplating opening that second office, even with the noise and mess that's going on in our world right now, right? He's growth oriented and optimistic instead of kind of being, a little jaded like he was. He's finally over the jaded part, right? Hope he doesn't mind me saying that. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you how the market domination engine solved this problem. It's with something we call peak-to-peak campaign deployment. Peak-to-peak campaign deployment, right? So a peak, like the top of mountains, a peak, right? Okay. So all advertising of any type, no matter what it is, follows the same exact pattern. It starts, it rises, it peaks, and then it declines, then it falls, right? And sometimes the decline is fast, sometimes the decline is slow, sometimes it'll peak for a little while and go down, but it always has that same up and down pattern. And what's happening is you're introducing the new concept to the audience, they're consuming it, they're responding to it, and now the ones who are going to respond to that now have responded, and you're dropping into a smaller and smaller group of people who are interested in your local market, right? That's just the way marketing works. It's not something I invented or discovered. That's just marketing 101. Okay, this is why this peak problem is why you see major brands changing their ads on TV and changing their slogans all the time. If peaks didn't happen, you'd have the same ads running now as you had in 1950s, right? It'd be the same stuff. It never got old, right? But we all know the commercials get old. Everybody can't wait for the Super Bowl because all the new commercials are coming out, right? It's just the way it is. It's called riding the peak. We used to do it all the time for the big brands. You ride the peak. Now, with the way the market domination engine works is we do the same thing. We have multiple campaigns running, right? And there's a certain time deployment that goes with them. So you have multiple campaigns running. You've got a minor campaign and a major campaign. And this one's running for a small budget. This is running for a large budget. And as this one goes up and peaks, it starts to crash down. This one rises. So just as one campaign is starting to fade, another one is rising to lift and take it over. So you stay kind of maybe a bump up a little down on top here, but you kind of stay up on the peaks, right? Because you're always catching the next peak that comes along. It's just a matter of deploying enough campaigns and managing the budget for the things and having enough creative and enough basically thinking about it enough to make it work. You've got to pay attention. This doesn't happen on its own, right? So anyway, so that's how you handle market fade, right there. And we cover that whole thing in the market domination engine. That is what we do, what we deploy. That's how we deploy it, okay? Now, the fourth and most critical part of practice growth has to do with having an airtight process that makes sure patients actually arrive into your office for their first appointment. This is huge. Nothing is more demoralizing than having a bunch of new patients on the books and then having them not show up. What? And then who do you blame? Do you blame the front desk? You should have scheduled them better. Oh, you blame the marketing companies? These leads suck. You find some way to blame them, right? Okay, well, you don't know who to blame with, so it doesn't give you a way to fix it. Whatever the reason is, this one problem can destroy your entire ability to grow your practice. This could be the limiting factor. right? I mean, I've seen practitioners practically give up and decide they're just going to keep status quo as long as they can because they can't get past this one point. And I'll tell you, it's because of this. When you have a referral-based practice, you can only grow so far. Your referrals will take you up. You know, people will refer to you, even with fantastic service, you'll get a lot of referrals, but you'll never get one-to-one referrals. You'll never quite get one-to-one referrals. Even if you're phenomenal, not every person won't refer one person to you. Some might do 2 or 3, and some might, a lot more will do 0, right? We know how disappointing this can be. That means if you really want to ever grow your practice, you must be able to harness paid advertising. You must be able to harness it at a high level, which means you have to be able to work with the lower quality relationship. The person who's coming in from an advertising program doesn't know you as well as the referral person does, as I've mentioned earlier. So that means you have to do something different with them to get them to show up. And if you never figure out what that trick is, you never figure out what is that different thing you do to them that gets them to show up, then you're limited forever at the level of your good service and your referrals. You'll be stuck there forever, and you'll just plunk along, right? So anyway, I'll give you an idea. I was able to solve this problem when a doctor, okay, here's how I found out what the problem was, and here's how I figured out how to solve it, okay? There was a doc who had 2 offices, right? And he called to share with me his no-show numbers. He said, okay, I want to figure this out, John. He says, all right, multiple offices. And one office in one area of town was converting 72% of the new patient leads coming off the marketing program. 72%. So 72 out of 100 were actually coming in and becoming new patients. Phenomenal number. Pretty damn good, right? I've seen higher, but that's good. In his other office, just a little ways away, they were getting 15%. 15%. So that means one office is getting 72%, and with the same exact marketing program, the other office is just getting 15%. So clearly there's some huge difference between those 2 offices and the way they operate and the way they work. And this is an opportunity. If you know data analysis and game theory and all that stuff, when you have 2 large discrepancies, that's a learning opportunity right there that you can find out what's the key differences. And so I did a deep dive on this, and I worked out what the disparity was. There was several points of disparity, and I figured them out, and I worked it out. There was nothing really wrong with the leads themselves, as was suspected, right? It was actually in all how they were being handled. Now, by the way, you should know the second office that was getting 15% was whining about how terrible the leads were. That was all the front desk, how these leads suck. And they're the same leads as the other guys are getting at 72%, right? So it's not all, sometimes it's the leads, but it's not always the leads, okay? So anyway, to solve the problem, what it basically was all on how the leads were being handled and how they're being followed up with. What I designed to fix this is something where first there's an automatic sequence of our emails and text messages that go out to the new patient, to the prospective new patient, that connects them immediately with the office, that gets them kind of already feeling they've got some friendliness coming from the office, they've got some connection to the office, they start getting indoctrinated kind of, they're basically, it's called lead nurturing, right? They start being nurtured and introduced to the practice, basically. And then I put together a set of scripts and training and all kinds of other stuff that into a short, simple video training program that teaches just about any front desk person how to be a superstar scheduler within about maybe an hour and a half. Maybe they go through the program twice, maybe it takes them 3 hours, but even the densest one gets better. I mean, they all get better when they go through this program, right? And it teaches the basics of, it's kind of like basics of sales, because this new patient scheduling is a little bit salesy, and you've got to do just a little bit of that to make it work, right? Using things like scarcity and using things like authority of the doctor, building these up, and also knowing how to answer the questions right. Like if someone asks about insurance, you better have the right answer to that question, or you're gonna lose them, right? So if you and about, oh, do you take my insurance, and you handle that question wrong, it's a problem. You have a script for it, you train them on the script, it's handled, right? So I put all of it together into this training, along with the lead nurture, the automatic lead nurturing, into one system here. And when I deployed all this into that second office, their numbers basically came up to just about where the first office was, right? The first office was still a little ahead of them, but it was, in the high 60s, which is pretty good for anybody and very viable. Now, and since then, I packaged the whole thing up, and since then, we've rolled the same exact program out to dozens of practices across the country, and every one of them report a significant improvement the no-show rate or the lack of no-shows, the number of new patients who are actually showing up from the marketing programs. And that is a total win right there, right? And of course, this extensive lead nurture and new patient schedule training program is all now a core component of the market domination engine, because if you do all that marketing and the person doesn't show up, nobody shows up, it doesn't matter how great the marketing was, does it? If you can't turn them into a new patient, nothing matters and you die. But if you can do that, you can make marketing work and you're golden for a long, long time, right? So those are the 4 component parts and how you solve each one of those problems. And as a single as an engine, it really does work. Like Dr. Chenault in Greenville, Illinois, he's used this consistent flow of qualified new patients that the system generates to really grow his practice. He's been able to confidently add additional services like laser therapy and neuropathy to his practice because he knows he's got the new patients coming in. The market domination engine is helping him connect and serve more people, and that's the situation where everybody wins, right? Remember, remember my original purpose in this is to help you reach out and serve more people and help change healthcare. That's the win right there, right? So look, I mean, I don't know. Can you imagine what it'd be like if you had that consistent flow of qualified new patients coming in and you had the system which arrives them into your office? Wouldn't that be quite the relief? Wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, wouldn't that totally just change your day-to-day life as a practice owner? I mean, that's what I'm going for here, right? So look, if you like helping getting this consistent flow of qualified new patients, if you want to know more about our program, the next step is an easy one, super easy. You set up what we call a discovery call. Right now, here's what to expect on that discovery call. It's about a 15-minute call. We'll get some basic information about your practice, including a look at where you are now with your practice and where your goals are, what kind of revenue growth you'd like to see in the next year, even in the next several years, because we usually plan that far out. Because you tell us where you are now and you tell us where you want to go, we can design a marketing program that'll get you there. This engine can just turn the engine on stronger. You just put more gas in the engine, right? You just push the pedal to the metal if you really want to, right? Or we put it where you want to go so that you're building the practice that you want to have, right? Now on this call, it's not a hard sales pitch because really, quite honestly, we only work with customers that we believe that we can help, that we're a good fit with, right? I'll be honest, this is not a program that's for everybody. If you've got a really small practice and you have never you don't even have referrals coming in yet, or you don't have your services worked out yet, or you just haven't worked out you're not all the way in business yet, it's not really that great a fit. Also, we have many territories. We only take 1 client per territory, so we can't take every client. We've already got someone in your town, in your area, we only take 1 per area, and we'd have to tell you no on that one. But more than 100 clients, there's a possibility your area is taken, but there's also a great possibility your area is not taken. And that's what we find out in that first 15 minutes too. We just kind of look at the whole thing, right? I mean, the whole first call is about determining if it's a good fit or not, and to answer any questions you have. I mean, you're going to have some questions right off the bat, no problem, right? And if it is a good fit, by the way, then we'll ask if you want to talk more about it, right? You want to have a formal presentation and have us work out what the program would be for you and your goals. We will do that for you and show you what that's like, and then what the whole thing costs and that sort of thing, right? I will tell you, I mean, the whole thing does cost, and the starting cost of this program is $4,000 a month, including fees and advertising costs all in. And here's the way it works. If $4,000 a month just makes you gasp, and this is probably not for you. You need to kind of build yourself the other way. If you go, okay, $4,000 a month, Nesbitt, but it better work. Okay, good. That's the exact kind of person we could talk to, because I know it's the kind of thing that has to work for you, right? We don't have contracts. As you heard me ragging on the guys who had contracts earlier. Yeah, we don't have contracts for our market domination engine service. Okay, so if you're interested at all, go ahead and find the button that's around this video somewhere and click on it and to schedule time to talk to us and have this little 15-minute discovery call and see if this is right for you. If there's no button near the video wherever you're seeing this, go over to my website, which is thecustomerfactory.net. thecustomerfactory.net, and there's a big red button at the top, and you can click that. This is request a service demonstration, and you just fill that out, and we'll take care of you from there. All right. So look, my purpose here is to help you out. I hope you've learned something from this video. You've definitely probably learned something that some marketing companies don't even know, and how to solve some of these key problems. I am here to help you out. You can always reach out to me via my blog, via my website. And I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And I'll hopefully see you on one of these discovery calls. Okay? Take care.